In this tutorial, we're going to go over all of the organs, structures, and features that you'll need to know from the abdominopelvic cavity on the small human mannequin model. In your lab manual, you can find a list of features with their labels on page 33. So I'm going to go through all of this, and whatever I don't hit on through here, I'll go back and review those blood vessels from up top. So that first structure that we're going to review is the stomach. It's listed as numbers 28A through 28C, or I think it's actually 28D. So first off, the esophagus runs down through that diaphragm, passes through it, and comes down to the stomach, which we can see right here. 28A, which is labeled right there, that's that greater curvature right here. Our lesser curvature, known as 28B, is this guy right here. 28C is the pyloric sphincter. So that pyloric sphincter is found in that pylorus region, and you can see it right here. So there's that sphincter. 28D is the greater omentum, which this is all of that greater omentum. You can see how, if I put the stomach back in, how that meets up and connects. So here's our greater omentum. Structure 29 is the small intestine, which we can see right here. All of this is our small intestine. You can see the start of it right here. That is the duodenum, labeled 29A. You can actually see it a little bit better from this posterior view. So there's 29A with our duodenum. You can see the ileocecal junction, 29B, down here, right there. It's kind of difficult to see the label, but that's where our ileocecal junction would be. From the ileum of the small intestine going into the cecum of the large intestine. Structure 30 and 31 correlates to the colon. 30A is the cecum. I'm going to start down here. There's our cecum, and we can see it a little bit better from this posterior region. So here's our cecum right there, which makes this guy right there our vermiform appendix, which is 30F. The label has almost completely worn off, but just understand that that's our vermiform appendix. 30B is the ascending colon. I'll put this guy back. So here we have our ascending colon. Then we have our transverse colon right here. This is our transverse colon. That leads us to our descending colon, which is a little bit hidden by this greater omentum. So I'm going to flip our intestines around. So here's our descending colon right here. That brings us to 30E, which is our sigmoid colon. You can see the label. Whoop. You can see the label right here. Here's our sigmoid colon. I was pointing too much to that descending section of it, but here is our sigmoid colon. The next section is 31, which is the rectum, and for that we're going to have to go into this abdominal cavity, and you can see the rectum right here, labeled 31. Structure number 24 is our urinary bladder, which can be found here. This can open up to show you that trigon region, which I covered in another tutorial, but just remember that we have those 3 orifices that make up that trigon region. I'm going to put that back in. All right, number 33, right here. This is a kidney, that's a kidney. We have adrenal glands sitting on top of those. Next we have listed as number 34, the abdominal aorta. Here we go. 34, abdominal aorta, making number 36 our abdominal vena cava. Next we're going to look at the liver. You'll see that I'm kind of having to hold it in right here. It would be held up by our stomach and all those small intestines and etc. and so forth. But we're going to look at this, some of these anterior structures before we take this out and look at some of those like posterior and inferior structures. So to begin with, 25A, we have the right lobe right over here. 25B is the left lobe. 25E right here is the falciform ligament. and you would see maybe a little bit of a like white color running down here, but I think that's kind of worn off on this structure. So our falciform ligament would be running right along here. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip this guy over. We're going to come down here to look at him. So just to point out, this is our inferior vena cava, or rather what we would call the abdominal vena cava. That's going to help us to kind of orient ourselves. 25, let's see if we can see that number and letter, 25C. 25C is our caudate lobe. It's going to be right next to that abdominal vena cava. 25D, which we can see right down here, 25D is the quadrate lobe. That's Quadrate, and it's going to be right next to our gallbladder. Wow, I really had to think about that for a second. 26 is our gallbladder. 27B, which we can see right here, is our cystic duct, which is going to lead out to the common bile duct, which is right out here at 27A. So again, gallbladder to the cystic duct right here, and the common bile duct, which would be leading us out. You can also see that hepatic portal vein right here in purple. Since this is the abdominal vena cava, and this structure right here is red, telling us that it's an artery, the only other type of vessel that this could be would be a vein, and that's what tells me that it's the hepatic portal vein. Now we're going to look at structures 73 through 86. To start off, we're going to look at those adrenal glands again. I know that we already pointed to them a little bit earlier, but those are those lovely adrenal glands. 75 is our celiac artery. And you can see this a little bit better on this model than you can on the wire hanging model, but just remember that that celiac artery, number 75 in here, is going to be the first big branch coming off of the abdominal aorta. 74 is the spleen, which you can see over here. 75, no, we already said celiac artery. 76 is our superior mesenteric artery, and you can see 76 right here. So superior mesenteric artery. That would make 77, which is found right here, our inferior mesenteric artery. 78 right here is the hilus of the kidney. 79 is the cortex of the kidney, and even though it's not labeled here, just remember that this region, this outer region, is that cortex of the kidney. 80 is the medulla of the kidney, which would be found in this region, right in here. 81, found right here, is our psoas major muscle. 82 is our iliacus muscle right here. 83 would be lymph nodes, and those are found down here, these little green dudes, right there, lymph nodes. 84 is listed as the gonadal vein and artery, and honestly, I don't know where they've labeled it in here. I know where the structures are, but I don't actually know where their label is. So to start off with, I'm going to point out our gonadal veins. So the first one that I want to point out is our left gonadal vein. It's coming off of that left renal vein, and it's running down in this direction. So there's our left gonadal vein. Our right gonadal vein is right here, and it's running off of the right side of the abdominal vena cava. So it's running in this direction. The gonadal arteries are going to be found between our superior mesenteric artery and our inferior mesenteric artery, and they're found right here. So this is one, and there's another one of those gonadal arteries. Gonadal is just another name for either testicular or ovarian. 85, structure number 85, let's see if I can find it. I think that's it right there. 85 is our common iliac vein, right here. And there's another one right over here. And our common iliac artery would be right up here, number 86.